Robert Harper Shumaker was born on May 11, 1933, and raised in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, along with his younger brother Thomas and older sister Donna. His father Alva was an attorney, and mother Eleanor was a writer. He attended the United States Naval Academy, graduating with a class of 1956. After flight training at Pensacola, Florida, he was assigned to Fighter Squadron VF-32 in Jacksonville, Florida. In 1964, Bob received his master's degree in aeronautical engineering from the Naval Postgraduate School before being assigned to Fighter Squadron VF-154 in San Diego, California. His squadron deployed to Vietnam in February 1965. On his first bombing mission, his plane was shot down by enemy fire. Forced to bail out at a low altitude, he was immediately captured by the North Vietnamese. He was a prisoner of war for 8 grueling years, spending much of that time at the infamous Hoa Lo complex in Hanoi, later dubbed the Hanoi Hilton by Bob himself. In spite of inhumane and hostile conditions, Bob was a courageous and intuitive leader. Most notably, he started the use of the TAP code, which became a common system of communication among prisoners. Those accused of leading were interrogated and tortured. Eventually, his captors gathered 11 suspected prison leaders and placed them in solitary confinement for 3 years. Bob was among these American leaders who became known as the Alcatraz 11. After his release, Bob attended the Naval Postgraduate School, earning a doctorate in electrical engineering. Then he served as a project manager for tactical airborne missiles such as the HARM anti-radiation missile and the Maverick air-to-ground tactical missile. In 1983, he was promoted to Rear Admiral Lower Half and became the superintendent of the Naval Postgraduate School. After another promotion, he was assigned to the Pentagon to coordinate Navy research and development efforts. During his distinguished career, Bob was awarded, among other awards, the Navy Distinguished Service Medal, 2 Silver Stars, and 4 Legions of Merit. After retiring from active duty as a Rear Admiral in 1988, Bob became Assistant Dean at the George Washington University in Washington, D.C. Next, he served as Associate Dean of the Center for Aerospace Sciences at the University of North Dakota, which has more than 2,300 students studying aviation. Bob is an active member of the Golden Eagles Association, whose membership includes pioneers of naval aviation. His F-8 Crusader from Vietnam is embarked on the display ship Yorktown, and his story has been captured in numerous books, such as Defiant by Alvin Townley. He was also honored with the Naval Academy's Distinguished Graduate Award in 2011. Bob and Lorraine have been married since 1964. They reside in Fairfax Station, Virginia. Their son Grant is a neurosurgeon, and they are proud grandparents and great-grandparents. Bob is grateful to have had the privilege to serve his country through his naval career, and for support from his family and Naval Academy classmates. He also takes pride in the self-respect that he maintained during his 8 years as a POW. A heroic naval aviator and leader dedicated to the service of our nation. The United States Navy Memorial presents the 2016 Lone Sailor Award to Rear Admiral Robert H. Shumaker.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This award means a lot to me. I'm going to depart from my teleprompter speech here for a little bit. He'll catch up with me after a while, I think. But, one thing you learn in the Navy, first of all, is you never want to contradict your boss. But I'm going to depart from that with Admiral Greenert tonight. Now, I've heard so much about Butler, Pennsylvania. It's a town of about 40,000 that's located just north of Pittsburgh. And it's a really sweet town and very patriotic. But 10 miles away is a town called Newcastle, Pennsylvania, about the same size. And Admiral Greenert referred to this ongoing football competition between Butler and Newcastle. So I just ask you to hold your judgment. I'm told that Newcastle has a pretty good team this year. So I'd like to, first of all, recognize a few of my relatives here. First of all, my wife, who you kindly recognized just a few minutes ago. She was a 21-year-old bride from Canada, later became an American citizen. And she raised our son during my long absence. My son Grant is here tonight with his wife Sandy, and my brother Tom from Newcastle and his wife are here as well. And both these couples traveled quite some distance to get here tonight. But I have another relative here that only had to walk over from the Capitol, and he's a congressman from the 10th District of Illinois, Congressman Bob Dole. So I thank you very much for coming. You know, families are really important to the seagoing services, and mine was to me. And they were the inspiration that kept me going in Vietnam. And I wish I could mention all my friends that are in attendance here tonight, but I just run out of time. So I simply want you to know that I really appreciate your love and friendship and support. And additionally, I'd like to thank all of you who, through your time and effort and financial contributions, have supported the U.S. Navy Memorial. Because the memorial is very inspiring to all of us who've had a chance to be influenced by the maritime services. Now, I'm often asked what a person needs to survive as a POW. For, you know, indeed, it was a very traumatic experience characterized by torture and confinement and exploitation. And many people ask themselves if they would have the stamina and the guts and the courage to survive. Well, I want to assure everyone in attendance here in this room tonight that indeed you do have that capability, and yes, indeed, you would survive. And why is that? Because you were raised in this magnificent country of ours, and you inherited the blessings of liberty and prosperity, and you know what freedom tastes like. And with that common experience we've all had, I know that you'd be willing to fight in order to preserve those gifts. No, thank you. Now, we POWs survived our incarceration mostly due to our ability to communicate with our fellow POWs in spite of our captors' attempt to curtail this communication. And we tapped on the concrete walls of our cells and we supported each other. Now, you'd be surprised at all the jokes you can tell just by tapping on the concrete walls of a cell. But you know, humor is another element that gets you through periods of stress like this. And we've all experienced stress, not necessarily in prison, but you need to have a sense of humor to get through a lot of tough things. But basically, we just wanted to conduct ourselves so that we could return home with honor. Now, two of my fellow POWs, Everett Alvarez and John McCain, previously received this Lone Sailor Award. And to me, they epitomize what it means to be an American. And I really cherish their friendship. All three of us were flyers whose character was molded in the Navy crucible. So finally, and with great humility and appreciation, let me again thank you for this award. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much.